Hi YouTube, this is Tinka. I'm just coming to do a video today about update on our homeschool and also my remarks and my opinion on some observations that I've made recently. So first off is with the update. We're finished. We finished last Friday. We had our evaluation on that day, and that for us is officially our last day. Maybe a week or so before that, we actually stop actually having class because I'm just getting their portfolios together and all that stuff. So we're done. I couldn't be more happier. I don't know how happy brick and mortar teachers are when school is out, but I think I have a very good idea. Even though I'm still home with them, just the fact that I don't have the daily struggle after I wake up of okay, let me start getting them together for school. Especially because in the beginning of the school year, there's a bit of excitement. There's like a homeschool frenzy on the part of the mom and on the kids. For me, it's, I've been watching videos, I've been researching, I got all these wonderful new ideas and plans that I want to put in place. And the kids are excited to just see like the new curriculum, new school supplies, and such, and that's about it. By the end of October, all of that has worn off for me. I don't know about for everybody else. Then it becomes like really serious, and then we go into winter, and because with our snow and being caught in the house, we're pretty much in the house just trying to do extra work because we know in the spring we want to be more lax with our schedule. But this particular year, I had a lot of resistance from my teenager that I still homeschool, like as far as like getting up on time and managing her time better. She's in high school now, so the expectations were different. So I basically chalked it up to a transition year. Um, So that's pretty much it. We did have a really productive year. Like I said, our evaluation was last Friday. They always do well. At the end of the year, not quite the end, but toward the end of the year, I tested my son. He's in third grade, and by this Pennsylvania state law, that's the year that he gets the standardized test. He did excellent, of course, but I still, even if he'd have done good or bad, it really doesn't matter to me because I really feel like those tests are set up to capture a certain type of information or certain style, even the way that the questions are asked, and it may or may not have been what my style is and what I've actually taught, and it may not even, it can't capture everything that they actually know, because if you have conversation with these children, you know that they are highly educated, and a lot of it is just when they get a thought or an idea or see something, they pursue it, they look it up until they, they're satisfied with the amount of knowledge that they got on it. So I like that they have that. And so our school is not 100% based on what's on the paper. And I think I'm going to pretty much continue to go on with that. I'm going to go on and talk about something that I observed or have been observing more often lately, and that is on Facebook. I am in a group with a lot of a couple of groups really. I'm in groups where stay-at-home moms. Some of them may or may not be homeschoolers, but what I notice is the ones that are stay-at-home moms, and I'm talking about of color. Most of the groups are that I'm in is stay-at-home moms of color. They might say African American, this or that. These women's children are 2, 3, 4, most of them under 5. So some of them are home and maybe at like age 3 or 2 they're doing interaction with them as far as teaching them the alphabet and all the other stuff. But that's, to me, just the basics. That's what every parent should do, whether your kids are going to end up going to school or being homeschooled or not. So I don't really, and I really actually at that age don't really bother with that too much, because it doesn't matter to me if you can read at 3 when in retrospect, by the time you're in first grade and you're with a group of kids who also learn to read that year, you're just as good as them. So what I've been hearing on there a lot is about different women saying that they feel pressured to go back to work, whether this is just regular stay-at-home moms or moms who homeschool. And then there's another group I'm in where they're single homeschoolers, in which I joined that group also because I figure any kind of tips or information I could glean from being in that group, knowing that they have to work with less resource or less time and so on, has got to be beneficial for me too. And I never know, something could happen, and I become a single parent trying to homeschool. So I love their aspect, their angle of the group. But I'm hearing from a lot of the parents saying that, I feel a lot of pressure. I feel like I'm being a burden because I don't work. Anytime in their marriage where funds began to get low, bills aren't, being paid, and there's some financial issue, it's always the woman in that relationship who's the stay-at-home mom or the homeschooling mom or whatever the case may be, who feels like she's all of a sudden a burden. No, ma'am. You are not. You were doing your job. Your job, unless you were skipping out every morning, was to get up and be with those children, provide for their needs during the day. And you do extra things as well. You're cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing laundry, and you're running around with your kids if they're toddlers. Keeping them engaged is a major production. That's something that if you had somebody to come in your home and do, like a nanny, would be a high priced job, or if you had to send them to daycare, will cost you a lot of money. So yes, you are not being a burden. You are taking burden out of your home by staying home with your kids. So a lot of them are talking about, oh well, this wasn't planned for us to do. These are the things that become divisive in the relationship, whereas everything is great as long as finances are great. But then the moment there's some financial issue, then it's almost like the last one hired is the one that they start pointing the fingers at. So then the moms feel like every little thing is on her to do more. So the expectation would be that she would work outside of the home and then continue to do all the things that she used to do as well. So we've always had two, maybe three jobs. So when you're asking her to do two, I don't think that's fair. So some of them ask questions like, should I look for look for a part-time job to try to help my family out and all that? I say, clip coupons, buy secondhand, budget better with the amount of money that you have. That's all you really can do, because you're doing your job and he's doing his job. If his job suddenly isn't paying, then he needs to get a second job or something to that matter. But you're doing your job. You're doing the most. I don't see how you could possibly do any more. So women get caught up in that. And then the women that are, I feel like the husbands don't 100%. And I think my husband was like this too the first couple of years, not on board with what you do. And that this is the case when he comes home from work and he's like quizzing the children. What did you do today? What did you learn? So-and-so's kid is doing this and such. Then, he's not 100% on board with, with you homeschooling. You either have to convince him, get him to see it, or you're just going to have to do it without 100% of his blessing and call it a day, because it is your right in the marriage, the relationship, to rear your children the way that you see fit. For the women that are maybe co-parenting and maybe the other parent's not in the home, I heard one woman saying that her husband, who doesn't live with them, wants to have weekly progress reports and such regarding her homeschooling. I don't get that. That's more than what he would ask if they were in school. And is he really interested to see how the children are progressing, or is he questioning what you're doing all day? See, these things are very divisive, and you have to communicate early on in your relationship that this is how it's going to go. I don't mind input. I want you to be involved, but don't you dare question what I'm doing. My sincerity is my credential. I sincerely want my children to thrive and be great. So you think that I would ruin that? I would mess my children up and I'm doing something else? And so therefore you need to make checkups on me. I really don't get that. So a lot of women are having that. I hope that this isn't the case with majority. But like I said, I've had similar things happen, over the years that I've been homeschooling now, going into the ninth year. Like I said early on, he didn't get it. He would say different things, like I said, he quizzed the kids and all that other stuff, but then I never really got that he didn't get it until one day he said, "You know what? I get it now. I see the benefit of you doing what you're doing." It took maybe like the third or fourth year before he said that and saw that and recognized that and stopped questioning every little thing that I did. I tried to incorporate him. When I would be going through those big, thick books about curriculum and say, "What do you think about this? And what do you think about that? I'm reading about this. This sounds interesting." And he couldn't be bothered. So I really felt like, why are you going to be concerned now? You know, so just be mindful of that. This really goes out to some of the newer, younger moms who are thinking of going in that direction and are thinking about staying at home. And then number two, staying at home long enough to educate their children, whether it happened by plan or happenstance. There's a certain decorum. There's certain things that you're going to have and certain things that you're not going to really have any control over what people think. You might have family members and things that may go against you and have a lot of questions. I had that as well. They don't question me anymore. As a matter of fact, they come to me whenever they're thinking about homeschooling. They ask me a bunch of questions. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that, I think. But yeah, homeschooling, it's got to be an all-in kind of thing. And, you know, you are basically doing it kind of alone, just like when your husband goes to work, he's doing his work alone and you're not there to type for him and file for him and everything. So it's like two jobs. It's like two jobs. These husbands need to let these women do their jobs. If you didn't trust them, then it's too late. You already married them, had a baby with them, and all that other stuff. So just, you just have to work that out, whatever your insecurities are. And I think because it's still not the norm, for husbands to be, I guess, with their peers and say, "Well, my wife doesn't work. She stays at home and she homeschools the kids," then they must be so bombarded with questions that they're not 100, unless they're fully vested in your program and know how to answer the questions. They must feel bombarded and feel like, somehow insecure by those questions. And then they come home and, begin to question you. I also have a relative who has a child that goes to a very prestigious school. It's all girls school. And in the beginning, she would have them send me the postcards for open house and all of this. And I kind of was on the fence. I was saying at that time that, if I sent them to any school, it would be this sort of school. This is, there would be no place better than this if I didn't do homeschooling. And then over time, I thought about it. I said, you know what? They're not better than me. They're not better than me. All girl, Jesuit, whatever the case may be, they're not better than me. I'm the mom. I have so much more to offer. So that's my stand on that. I don't often just, make these remarks, but that was just something that was just really prevalent going around in the groups that I'm in. So I'm going to go now. Bye-bye.